Big Boy's Neighborhood, man. Now, I don't know if you guys been watching the news. I feel like the news hasn't been really covering this as well as we should.
That's right.
And I've been getting a lot of people hitting me in social media, a lot of DMs. And that's because on February 17th, there was an accident where Monique Munoz, AKA Momo, 32 years of age, coming home from work, was killed in an auto accident. The driver, 17 years of age, in a Lamborghini. They said he was clocking about 120 miles per hour when he hit her. And we're looking for justice for Momo. And the reason is because at the moment, the 17-year-old has been pretty much a ghost. He hasn't been charged. He had minor head injuries, and the family and friends are really just looking for justice for Momo. So we have her mom in the neighborhood. Carol, first off, welcome to the neighborhood. And Step Pops Isaac, welcome to the neighborhood. And first off, I gotta say, my condolences. Yes. I know that this has got to be extremely hard for you, and especially when it feels like there's no justice there. With your daughter, Monique, Carol, just describe Monique and the angel that's no longer with us.
She was a beautiful soul. She was just so giving. She had a heart of gold. She would spread herself so thin just to help everybody else, to make them smile. She knew what she wanted in life. She had her goals set. She was going somewhere, you know. She went to West LA College, graduated, 3 associate's degrees. She got a certificate in corrections, and she wanted to continue her education at Cal State Dominguez in sociology. She wanted to become a probation officer.
And Monique, she was on her way home from work that day on February 17th?
Correct. She was on her way home from work. She had just got a job through UCLA Health, and she was working at the oncology clinic in Beverly Hills. And she was on her way home from work that evening.
And from what I understand, there was a 17-year-old driver in a Lamborghini. They say he was clocked at possibly 120 miles per hour. And there hasn't been any justice for Momo as of yet. What are the authorities saying?
I haven't heard from anybody yet.
They haven't reached out, contacted us, nothing.
So not that there hasn't been a follow-up. It's not that you guys you're waiting on something or they're investigating. At the moment, the 17-year-old hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been detained. Has he been? I don't know what kind of questioning he's had, but they haven't talked to you as a family?
No. We've been reaching out to Gascon and to Garcetti, and no one's has, even reached out to us to give us any type of feedback.
Or is he going to be charged?
Yeah. So you have had no conversation or communication about will he be charged, will he not be charged, there's a pending investigation or anything?
All we know is that there's a pending investigation, and that's it. That's all we were told. And the investigation is pending.
And so that's just kind of to kind of pacify you and get you off the phone. We don't know exactly what that means.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of just pacify us, to just, like you said, keep us off the phone. And I lost my best friend. Monique was my everything. I only had one son and one daughter. And Monique she wasn't only my daughter, she was my best friend. We worked together for 11 years. We were like inseparable. We had the best relationship a mother and daughter could have. She shared her dreams with me, her goals in life. And those were all taken away from her.
And Monique, as far as with, like I was saying, I got so many people and they echoed the same thing. Smile, the brightest one in the room, always took care of people. Those were the things that people are saying about Monique, with, AKA Momo. And as a mom and as a dad, it's already hard enough to lose a loved one, to lose a child. And then on top of that is how instant it is for someone to be driving home, and then in an instant you lose them. And then on top of that, now you're dealing with the authorities not paying attention to a loved one or a life that's so precious being lost.
Exactly. Monique's life matters.
Yes. And it's crazy because even here, we were talking about, the 17-year-old. And at one point, one of my coworkers said, well, last week I was able to Google and I was able to find some information on his family, his dad. And now she was like, for some reason, I don't know if they did a clean Google search or whatever, nothing is coming up. You know what I'm saying? And she was saying how, he was known to drive fast, allegedly. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? They were saying, she said that they pulled up pictures of him, around the Lamborghinis, and he was almost encouraged to speed race. But 120 miles per hour, that's manslaughter. That's murder. That's vehicular manslaughter, or that is a murder. And for them to not be in touch with you, and we have to go and do this investigation or keep the story going ourselves. Like I say, we'll make sure that we continue to talk until your family gets justice. This right here, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't want my daughter's, life, because she mattered to us, to be swept under the rug and not be thought about anymore. We're not going to allow that to happen. I'm her voice, and I'm going to do what it takes to bring justice for her, because she didn't deserve this. She did not deserve this.
Now, I know that there was a GoFundMe that was set up. I want to make sure we get that information. I want to make sure that, for those that can get out there and continue to help and, be a voice for what we call the voiceless, and also the participation with, any of the events that's going on to have us remember Momo as well. And is there a direct place to go for more information, Carol or Isaac, where we can send our listeners to make sure that we also don't drop the ball on this?
We have on Instagram and on Facebook her GoFund, and anytime we're going to have a protest, we also advertise it there.
Okay, we're like this weekend, we're having a protest right there at the location on Overland and Olympic this weekend, starting at 5 o'clock.
And from what I understand, she was close to getting home that day? You guys live around the area?
Well, we live in Hawthorne, and that was her shortest route to get home, was because she didn't like the freeways. So she would go down Overland and come up Sepulveda.
Just once again, I can't believe that there hasn't been any communication with the family. And I don't know if this is, let time pass and it'll go away. Don't put any attention to it and it'll fade away. But I think that right now, with the powers that be, with us getting together, there's absolutely no way that we could let this get swept under the rug. It's just not right. That's a precious life that was cut down.
Yes.
This is just the beginning of the protest. We're going to get justice for Monique. That's one thing that we all strive for. We want justice for Monique.
So was Monique living with y'all? Were y'all all in the same household?
Yes. She lived with us for all the time.
She was my baby.
She never,
I told
her and her brother.
Yeah,
they're here.
I told her she couldn't move out because I didn't want to be by myself. I said, until I'm old and gray, then you can move out. And because she was still going to school, she was pursuing her education and working, and she had no kids yet. So I was in no hurry for her to leave.
Man, Carol, if you could see my Instagram, like, it's everywhere on my Instagram as far as people getting in touch with me. And that lets you know, I always tell people that character is what's being said about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
And that shows the character of Momo as well.
Yeah.
Like how many people are really, really coming together.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible and fucked up situation.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, y'all were all in the same household. That's even, it's like it's bad on bad on bad on bad.
Yeah.
On bad.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
We I miss her when she used to get out of the shower and blow her nose. I used to turn around and tell her, there goes the machine gun. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
It's just little things, Like the dog, she would call him Gordo, you know, and his name's Oliver, and she would call him Gordo. So, you know, but he feels it too. He'll sit there and just start crying.
Hey, Kara, if you don't mind my asking, how did you find out? Like, how did you get the information?
Well, the day of, you know, she was pretty good about her schedule. That's one thing about her. She was so responsible that she's like, okay, I only go from point A to point B Monday through Friday because I got to get myself into bed and ready for work the next day. So, you know, she had told me in the morning when she left, okay, Mama Bear, I love you. I will see you later. I packed my lunch, I got my breakfast, and after work, I'm gonna go get my COVID test, and then I'm gonna run over to Walmart grocery. So I should be home like by 6:30 the latest. So we're like, okay, you know, so we're waiting and waiting.
So we're watching TV and we're waiting. And I tell my wife, hey, where's this kid at? You know, it's already 7 o'clock. And nothing. So then she's calling her. And we're like, okay, another hour goes by. And turn around
and then my son called her. He's like, Mom, where's my sister? I said, well, I've called her and I've texted her. She's not responding. He's like, let me try. So then he went, and when he called, a police officer answered her phone. And the police officer, you know, he's like, Mom, the cop has Monique's phone, you know, and he's like, well, what's wrong with my sister? Why can't you tell us over the phone, you know? And he's like, well, no, you guys need to come over here to the, and he didn't even tell us.
He didn't even tell us it was police station.
He just said, here's the address, you need to come. So, you know, we're just like jumping into our shoes and running out the door, you know, like, what the heck, something happened to Monique. So then I called my nephew who lives in Culver City, and I said, something happened to Mo. Can you guys get a head start to this address? And we're coming. But I just want, if, you know, God forbid, if it was just an accident, at least if she sees family, she won't be scared. Because my one thing about Monique, she wasn't street smart. She was very book smart, but not street smart. And so, you know, my nephew's wife, okay, I'm on my way. And then we're hauling on the freeway to get over there to that police station off of Venice and La Brea.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, right by Ward on Wheels.
Yes. Yeah, and then my niece calls me. She's like, this is a police station. And I'm like, okay. And then I thought, okay, maybe she just decided to give one of her knucklehead friends a ride, and maybe they got her caught up in some shit and we just need to get her out, you know? And so we're like, you know, that would have been the worst of it. You know what I mean? If we had to bail her out, that would have been like, okay, let's just bail her out. And then we couldn't get into the station because everything's closed because of COVID. So then somehow we looked on the other side of the parking lot and there's a police officer standing there. So we approached him, and I remembered his name. I read his badge, and that was the same person that answered her phone. So he has us come into this room, and there's a box of tissue and there's water bottles. And I'm like, okay, why is there water bottles and why is there tissue? And he's asking me to sit down. And then he presents me her driver's license. I said, yes, that's my baby. You know, that's my daughter. What happened? And he says, I'm really sorry to have to tell you, but she was involved in an accident and she was killed. I'm like, no, not my baby. No, are you sure? You know, I lost it. My husband, Isaac, lost it. He started punching holes in the wall. My niece was just, it was something that I would have never wanted to hear, or I would never want anyone else to hear when it comes to their children.
The funny part was that he kept saying that she didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
He kept saying she was in the right of way. She didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, he goes, she was making a left. So in my head, making a left, you got to make sure it's clear. You know, so you're in the wrong if you're making a left and you get hit. So it didn't dawn on me till we did the first protest. I look at the light has an arrow. It's a green arrow for when she's turning. So she was turning on the green arrow when this kid ran the red light and hit her.
Yeah.
And at 120, man, that's coming from nowhere. You cover a block instantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys go out to the scene that night, or you couldn't handle it?
We didn't even.
Everything was. It was already 10 o'clock. It was already all cleared up. The cars were gone.
Yeah.
By the time we left the police station, it was almost 12 o'clock.
Yeah, they didn't know. This happened like at 5:14 in the evening.
And they didn't notify us till then.
Till about 10:30. And then after that, while we're at the police station, my son was waiting for us here. The sheriff came knocking on the door and broke the news to my son. My son he flipped. He's like, how am I going to tell my mom? You know, I mean, it was just horrible, 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 horrible.
Kara, how old is your son?
He's 35.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely no age for any of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
you know, we think we dealing with something with all this pandemic shit. Like, it's just crazy how precious life is and the things that we do kind of trip off of. And not knowing, you know, when we get up one morning, like how do we cover our family? Like, I couldn't imagine, you know, being a father. I can't imagine, you know, there's no age that I'm ready for that. It's
the worst. It's the worst feeling. It's like your heart was ripped out.
Yeah.
As soon as you said those words.
It's a pain that's so undescribable. That's just, I mean.
Because she had a heart of gold. She was an angel. She didn't drink. She didn't smoke. Anytime her and her friends went out, she was the designated driver. That's why they always had bottles of water for her, because she didn't drink. So she was a DD all the time. And then I'd sit up and wait till we got home. You know, it's like what any father does. You know what I mean? You wait up till the kids get home and they're safe. Then you can lock up the house and everything's cool. But yeah, it was
and
like
the whole family unit is there. You know what I'm saying? It's a tight family.
Yeah. It's just really, like I said, it's been really, really difficult to deal with, but I just hang on to my faith. I really, really do, because I mean, yesterday was not a good day. I stayed in the bed all day. I just didn't want to live. Like, I just can't accept it. I can't.
You know, you never know what's going to be put on your plate or put into your life. You know, I'm pretty sure that just sitting there thinking, Isaac and Carol, that you never thought that this was going to have to be the fight that you was going to have to try to get strong for and fight for. You know, we hope that our kids outlive us. We hope that our kids and your family are here forever, and to just be, you know, murdered or just killed.
Our kids are supposed to bury us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what I want to do, man, is I want to make sure when you say that there's an Instagram and there's a Facebook, Carol, if you have that information, can you give that to us so we can share that with our listeners as well?
Sure. It's going to be my Facebook. It's Caroline Crespin Cardona. That's what they can find me under. And I post everything on there. And then Instagram, it's going to be Ike and Carol.
And I thank you for sharing your time. And please, you know, let's not be one and done. You know, we got to we got to continue to remind our listeners. We got to continue to make sure that this gets on the news. We got to poke the right people, because if not, we definitely don't want this to just go away. So please continue to use us as a voice. Please continue. And I'm going to make sure that when we get off, y'all have my personal numbers as well, so we can always continue to check in and not let this go. Like I said, Carol and Isaac, this isn't one and done. I'll make sure that we come to some kind of good news when it comes to getting justice